English, hello. Spanish, que pasa. Swahili, habari. Hindi, namaste. Hebrew, shalom. Arabic, mahab. Chinese, ni hao. Russia, privyet. Those are the languages that are on the Georgia Guidestones that some assholes built, and we're going to talk about some assholes who destroyed them today.
I am broadcasting on all AM frequencies. I will be at the South Street Seaport every day at midday, when the sun is highest in the sky. If you are out there, if anyone is out there, I can provide food, I can provide shelter, I can provide security. If there's anybody out there, anybody, please, you are not alone.
What's up, everybody? It's the one, the only Alcor Starchild here, and if you didn't know, the Georgia Guidestones were destroyed today. I find it a suspect time for this to happen, but I don't care, and you shouldn't really care either. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be making YouTube videos and freaking out, and oh my god, it's a crazy thing, and who cares? Who really cares? If you really know the history and the story behind those stones and how stupid, that the whole thing even began, it's not some mystical, they just appeared out of nowhere. Like, the state is actually, the city that they're in, they're saying, look, the maintenance guys are saying that we know who did it, pretty much. They were kind of trying to be anonymous, but they knew obviously a physical human being went in there with the money and had these monuments put up. And I think they actually went in 1979 and they didn't go up until 1980. So there was like a whole process to happen. These things didn't just magically appear out of nowhere like what a lot of dumb people want you to believe. And I'm going to play some video footage at the end of this video where you can hear people who actually went to the Georgia Guidestones and you can see them talking about them. And then I'm going to show you the interview with the people who were there taking care of the Georgia Guidestones. So this isn't some magical, mystical thing that just happened that people want you to believe in. And this is the problem with people who, make up stuff, right? They just let their minds go wild. And when other people don't do their research, they, let their minds be poisoned with nonsense from some other idiot, right? So, look, I don't care about the Georgia Guidestones being destroyed. And I mean, it's like, okay, so let's just say, like, here's a picture of a statue of Mother Mary. If there is a Mother Mary statue destroyed, I don't care. I'm not Catholic. I'm not Christian, so I don't care if that statue was destroyed. I just don't care. I'm not going to freak out and say, oh my God, was it, the devil that came and did it? Was it a bunch of demons? I don't care. Right? So it doesn't matter to me. And I don't care about the Georgia Guidestones. Here's a statue, here's a picture right here of a statue of Baphomet, right? If that statue got destroyed, I don't care. I literally do not care if the Baphomet statue is destroyed. I don't care because I'm not a Satan worshiper or a Satanist. I'm not into that at all. Like, I don't care if either one of those statues were destroyed. I care about as much about those statues being destroyed as I care about this Georgia Guidestone statue being destroyed. Here's the statue of Ronald McDonald. Would you care if Ronald McDonald's statue was destroyed? If all of a sudden you found out that this Ronald McDonald statue was destroyed, how much sleep would you lose over that? You probably wouldn't. Because I care as much about the Baphomet statue and the Mother Mary statue as I do about the Ronald McDonald statue. And all three of those statues hold about as much weight in my opinion, not as far as weight like physically, but in my opinion is, space in my mind. They hold as much space and as much weight as the Georgia Guidestones. I just don't care. So yeah, I really look, guys. Don't feed into all the nonsense that people are going to say. The only thing to me is that it is particular timing, right? That's the only thing that makes me raise an eyebrow and go, okay, what's going on? I don't care about the Georgia Guidestones, but it is the timing, right? This is like we're 2 days out from Independence Day. Maybe they wanted to do this on Independence Day. The people who did this, maybe that was something that they wanted to do, but for some reason there was too much heat there during Independence Day, so they weren't able to do it. It seems like they were off their mark, because it seems like an explosion of the Georgia Guidestones would have made even a more of an impact if it would have happened on Independence Day with all the other fireworks and explosions going off. And it also, when they blew up these Georgia Guidestones, nobody would have thought anything suspicious about it at the time because of the fact that there'd be all these other explosions going off. So I don't know if they destroyed them last night, which would have been on the 5th, or if they destroyed them this morning or earlier today or whatever. But there you go, right? Like, it just seems to be like, right, the timing is just so close to the Independence Day. And if you don't remember the movie V for Vendetta, but anyhow, also there's all these other things that are going on. So I think it has to suspect time, the fact that they are destroyed now in this year, 2022, right after Independence Day, because also today there was NATO has pretty much thrown the gauntlet down. There's like 8 countries over there that have thrown the gauntlet down that they're going to be going to war with Russia. Like, they've pretty much said that they will be going to war with Russia. And that was announced, I think, today, which is around the same time this thing happened, which doesn't really have a whole lot to do with it. But it's just suspect time. Like, you look at the things, all these signs at a time, the things that are happening. Not that these stones really matter. They don't really matter. It's all suspected timing, because I'm telling you, there will be civil war this year. When Joe Biden ends up having to step down from the presidency this year, or he ends up becoming sick or dying this year, and the Kamala Harris becomes the president, this country's going to go into a civil war. The moment that she gets inaugurated in as president, that's it. Civil war is good. I guarantee you it will be declared that day. Things will go ballistic in this country that very day that she is inaugurated in, to replace the sitting president, and she becomes president. You can see it all day long. So the fact that we're on the verge of civil war, the fact that World War III is happening, and Independence Day just happened, yes, this whole thing, the Georgia Guidestones being blown up, yeah, it kind of makes sense that it would happen at this time this year in 2022. It makes sense because those stones have been there since 1980. The people have been there and defiled on them and pissed on them and shit on them and spray painted on them and done all kinds of stuff, and maybe even had sex on them for all we know. And I don't really want to know what type of partners have had sex on those, because it could have been some really weird stuff that went on there. But yeah, there's all kinds of strange stuff that's probably happened to them. But for them to be completely destroyed, now, and not because of some magical being destroyed them or whatever. It's just some people went there and blew them up, and they're going to find out who did it. And pretty soon here, you're going to see on the news that so-and-so was arrested for this, and that they may be a part of this group, maybe a Black Lives Matter group, maybe a white supremacist group, or maybe a Latino Rise group or something like that, because maybe they're angry because, their language is actually on there because they got the Spanish. I don't know. Maybe the Germans. Germans' language wasn't on there. So it's the English, the Spanish, the Swahili, and if you don't know what that is, that's the African. That's an African language: Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. So it's like those people. So it's almost like they set that up as those languages are the people who are supposed to abide by these rules. That's the only amount they're only supposed to have, the 500,000 people per those. I don't know. Is it per each one of those cultures, and then all the other cultures, they don't matter? Like, is that what it is? I don't know. Is that what that stands for? I have no idea. I was going to go to the Georgia Guidestones at one time, and you know what? This is how much I cared about them. I said, I really don't care. So I didn't even bother to go. It's never been on my list of things to do. I don't care about them. And I don't know why you should either. I guess if you've been there to the Georgia Guidestones or you're going to go, then maybe you should care. But other than that, don't feed into all the idiot nonsense people who are going to say some crazy. People just freak out over everything. And especially in this country, it's all about going to the extremes. People freak out over everything. So there's going to be a lot of crazy, foolish talk right now about this stuff. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and play the rest of these videos. You should watch them. It'll at least give you a little bit of stuff so you can see what they were about. And you should definitely listen to the end of it, because at the end of this video, I'm going to have the guy who is down there on the scene, who was one of the maintenance guys who took care of these stones. They're not magical. I'm sorry. In fact, the guy says that, look, anybody with the right amount of money will do a monument for, and they can stick it up here. Right? Like, I mean, it's just, so anybody. So right now, if the Satanists want to put up a massive Baphomet statue, I guess if they're saying, they let them do it. And if the Catholics say, hey, well, we want a massive Mother Mary statue, they would let them do it. So, I mean, who cares? I don't care. It's not, these things were not hovering in the sky and just floating there, and then all of a sudden you can sit there and go, wow, that's crazy. How is this even possible? Then I would start wondering, and then I would start going, okay, something's going on here. But anybody could have done this. And actually, they tell you, look, we're the ones he tells you that the company is the ones who made those stones. He gives you dimensions, the weight, and all that stuff, and says, hey, we made them. So it's not magic. We're magical. So, do whatever you will with it, and enjoy the rest of the time you have left.
Here it is, the famous Georgia Guidestones. I mean, this is fucking really spooky, really, tell you the truth. I mean, it's pretty weird. Here it is. As you can see, these are all solid granite slabs, which I was in the granite industry, and this is a bitch to set these things, I'm going to tell you right now. This cost a lot of money to cut these things and to do this. Alright guys, check this out. There's a time capsule that's built 6 feet below this spot right here, and it doesn't tell you when it's supposed to be opened or anything right here. And wow. So this is due north this way, due east, due west, and south. They got the Babylonian cuneiform, the Egyptian hieroglyphics.
The writing on the weird Egyptian hieroglyphics stands for "Let these guidestones be an age of reason."
Yeah.
The holes do this. They do.
Channel through stone indicates celestial pole. The horizontal slot indicates annual travel of the sun, and the sunbeam through the capstone marks noontime throughout the year.
They misspelled pseudonym.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
It's like a typo.
Standing stones are enormous and made of solid granite. When you're near them, they are genuinely impressive and imposing, the sort of thing that makes you wonder how ancient people ever managed to raise them up and to place them so precisely that they act as an astronomical calendar. These particular stones don't make you wonder that, though, because these are the Georgia Guidestones in the USA, and they were put up in 1980 by modern people with modern equipment. They are not a theme park fiberglass replica, though. They are more than 100 tons of rock, and they are built to last. Inscribed on them in 8 languages are what seem to be rules for a future post-apocalyptic civilization, the sort of thing that maybe seemed like a reasonable way to send a message to the far distant future in an era when the Cold War was looking dicey and Ronald Reagan's finger was very close to the nuclear button. The person, or people, who paid for these stones stayed anonymous, so no one knows if they were actually intending to troll conspiracy theorists. Maybe they really were just hoping to create a modern Stonehenge, something that could be taken as a set of principles for the world's population to follow as we recovered after an apocalypse.
Last name spelled K-U-B-A-S.
You're in charge, your organization is in charge of maintaining them.
We do have a role in the maintenance and preservations of the Guidestones. The property itself is actually county property, and they maintain the security and the maintenance of the property itself.
Tell me about the Guidestones. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theories swirling about them, but kind of tell folks what they are.
So the Guidestones were a monument that was envisioned by one man who represented a group of individuals. they wanted a monument, and they had the funds to create that monument. So in around 1979, they showed up in Elberton asking if the Elbert Granite Association could help them to find somebody to build the monuments. And we did. They were built by a local manufacturing company here in Elberton, which is actually no longer in business. It was the Elberton Granite Finishing Company. They were built and they were erected in March of 1980.
It's become a big tourist attraction.
They did over the years, especially as the internet gave them more exposure. It took off in popularity. So,
tell us about some of the issues that you've had over the years with these stones.
you know, the stones have messages on them, guides for humanity, and some people find them offensive, some people don't. Over the years, we've had messages spray painted on the guide stones, using them for various personal agendas, maybe. But we've never had this level of damage ever done to the guide stones.
If you don't want to answer this question, don't. Over the past at least 2 months, we know of a particular person who was Executive Order number 10, wanting them demolished. Have you seen an increase in maybe unwanted activity since then?
I have not. There's obviously been a lot of social media comments and things that are made that we become aware of, but we haven't had any real issues from the fallout of those statements that were made by that political individual. But I don't know that this is not related in some way to the statements that were made.
How bad is the damage? And I mean, did it just break your heart to get up there and see it?
It did. I'm sad not just for Elberton and Elbert County, but I'm sad for the United States and for the world. These were a tourist attraction, and it was not uncommon for people from around the world to be up here at any given time. I've met people from Australia, from China, from all over the world here at these guide stones. We probably have in excess of 20,000 visitors a year here. You know, it's free, it's open to the public, there's no fee to get in to see them, so people just come and go. We don't keep track of who's up here. We actually had to install cameras several years ago after the vandalism got so bad. But, you know, it does break my heart. You know, if you don't like the message that was written on them, you know, that's understandable, that's your prerogative, but, you know, there's no reason to take it away from other people that might not find it and interpret it the same way.
How bad is the damage?
One of the wings is completely been destroyed. It's actually laying on the ground. I can see it. We haven't been up to the site because the bomb squad is trying to clear the area. But I can see it, and it's actually on the ground. The capstone piece is been damaged, and I'm sure the other 3 wings and the center support probably have damage to them as well.
And that surveillance is 24/7, right?
If the cameras were up and running, then yes, it would have been 24/7. It goes to the 911 dispatch center.
So there may be video.
It could be. I don't know. That would be something that you would have to get from the county or from the emergency manager.
What do the stones symbolize? What do they mean?
You know, they meant something different to a lot of people. You can go online, and forgive me, I don't know all of them. There's 10 of the messages, guides for humanity, that were written on there, and they talked about various different things in society and issues as a human race.
5 different languages.
And they were in 5 different languages, and you know, some people didn't like certain messages that were on there. They interpreted them in very negative ways.
And it was built to withstand an apocalypse. I mean, it was supposed to, after humanity was gone, I remember the initial, that was supposed to help save humanity.
Yes, if you think of like Stonehenge, for instance,
exactly.
You know, here we are several thousand years later, and Stonehenge is still standing. Imagine if it had writing on it, and you could read what the people of that time thought was important and wanted to leave for future generations. That's what the guide stones were. They may not have been meant for us here today. They were meant for a future population after maybe a cataclysmic event, to help them learn and know what what we had encountered and for them to avoid.
What was the name of the group that funded this?
So we don't really know the name of the group that funded them. The one man that did come to town went by the pseudonym of R.C. Christian. He came in, he had the funds available to build them, and that's what, the granite industry, we're in the business of manufacturing monuments. So when somebody comes and says, I've got a monument, I want to build it, and they've got the funds to pay for it, we're going to build it. And we do it regardless of race, creed, religion, anything else, the genders, anything. If somebody needs a monument, that's what we do. And this was just another monument that we built. It's a testament to the craftsmanship of the granite industry here in Elbert County. Each one of those wings is 16 feet 4 inches tall. It's 1.7 inches thick, and it's 6'6" wide. They weigh about 42,000 pounds each. To quarry something of that size and get those 4 of them that precise, and then to letter them with the sandblasting that it took to letter those languages, that is utter craftsmanship that you would not find anywhere else. They had to be done here. And that's what we look at them, and that's what the majority of Elbert Countyans look at them, is the testament to the craftsmanship of the granite industry.